Good afternoon, it's Valerie Ling, clinical psychologist and director founder of the Center for Effective Living, just going live again. And today my segment is something that I've called Dynamics, and that is just talking about maybe self-insight or some kind of dynamic that helps us to make sense of how we're interacting with ourselves and also with our relationships. So I'm just going to share this into the various pages where I'm part of. I'm actually realizing more and more that I actually can't see my computer screen, which probably means that it's very much time for me to hop on to making an appointment with my optometrist. Okay, where have you come from today? If you're watching, let me know if you're watching a recording of this. I've actually spent the morning with a group of health professionals today, having lunch with them. And it was a fantastic lunch session, and amongst all the various things that we talked about in terms of mental health issues for the general population, we got on to talking about a topic that is very much in my area of interest, which is burnout. And I actually asked them, how are you all going? Are you finding that you're coping, or are you hearing stories of people who are burning out in the field that you're in? And of course, it started very interesting conversation, and two things came out that I thought I would share with you on my live stream. The first thing was that one of the health professionals said, I find it harder and harder to say no to taking on more and more things. And I was curious about this, and as I talked to this person, I thought, maybe it's because they've got a lot more interest or professional interest, or perhaps there are obligations that they're feeling that they have to take on. And pure and simply, this person just had one sentence that blew my mind, because it's something that I hear a lot of, regardless of whether you're talking to a health professional or you're having a session with a client. This person said it's because of the overwhelming sense of responsibility to make other people happy. I thought, whoa. So I queried, I said, do you mean professionally happy, or do you mean that you feel the responsibility to make anybody feel a general sense of happiness? And this person said both. And I thought, there's a common denominator here in terms of what we all feel. Why do we feel the need to be responsible? Why do we feel the responsibility for other people's happiness? So that was the first thing that came out of that conversation. And the second person that I talked to then brought up some interesting topics about they were actually saying, I think the reason why we burn out, or why people around us burn out, because there isn't a sense of purpose to what we're doing. Just going through the motions, it's all quite mechanical, and when the going gets tough, we just keep going, but we actually don't have a reason or an anchor that helps us to actually do the positive self-talk and find meaning. And as I was listening to this conversation, I thought, now that's very interesting, because you will find in burnout literature that a sense of purpose, a sense of conviction for what you're doing is a very helpful anchor in times of stress. And so put these two things together, I thought I'm going to actually combine this. Hey Tess, thanks for joining me. So lovely to see you. I've just been talking about my meeting this afternoon with some health professionals. So you'll have to catch up on that to see what I was talking about. Putting it all together, I thought, you know what? Why is it we find it so difficult to say no? Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and I could talk at length about those reasons, but I just want to focus on one thing today. Sometimes we don't know when to say no because we actually don't know the things to say yes to. We don't actually know the things that we want to do, we need to do. And that ties in with the conversation that I had with the second person, and that is figuring out what your yeses are. What are your convictions? What are your needs? What are the significant relationships around you that really fill up your tank? What are the kinds of activities that bring a great sense of joy and purpose? What are the things that you're going to say yes to Sometimes that can be a season thing. Sometimes in your personal life, it's a season for growth, or maybe it's a season for rest, or maybe it's a season for serving others, if you're a carer for your family, for a family member, for example. And sometimes that has got to do with figuring out what it is that this season is for you, and what that season might be for your relationships or your commitments around you. So what I like to do with people when we're trying to figure out how to do burnout prevention is not just figure out a whole list of things to say no to, but first of all to look at your diary and your schedule and to put all the things that you need to say yes to. So I'm just going to leave you with that tip, because once you actually know what you're saying yes to, your day, your diary, your week fills up with the things that gives you purpose, that anchors your sense of conviction, that keeps you in significant and meaningful relationships and activities. And when you've plunked that in, then you can actually figure out what you need to say no to. Because by and large, you might not actually have the time or the focus, or it might not be the season that you're in to say yes to. All right? So I'll catch you later.